Historically, within my family, heart disease is actually a real issue. Now, we are not large, overweight people. We are actually very healthy, holistic living people who are very active in our lifestyles. And yet heart disease is something that I perhaps am predisposed to have. And so when I was in my teens, I was actually referred to a heart specialist just for things that presented within my heart. And the prognosis for me was looking at potentially a pacemaker, the doctor said, by the time I was in my 40s or 50s. So my 40s hit about a decade ago, and actually I started to have things present as symptoms that were causing me to have concern. So, you know, high blood pressure, bad cholesterol levels, all that thing, plus a congenital heart defect, that was in my future. However, I was also somebody who loved track and field, loved cardio, running, all these things. And I couldn't imagine living my life without that in it. Oh, looks like I just lost an earring. That's pretty cool. Anyway, so what I discovered at a very young age, I was a teenager, was that there were these precursors or ingredients that we could introduce into our bodies, and we could actually change the way our heart health was going to progress. All right. We could actually intervene and make some great changes. So I started studying about coenzyme Q10 and L-arginine and L-citrulline, like Burke had mentioned. So this is right around 1990. And this is when all this information is emerging into, you know, the space, into the science world. And he did mention some really smart guys, and we're going to talk a little bit about them and why this timing is also important. And as Burke said, I can't think of a more fundamental thing to human health than nitric oxide, and therefore taking the steps to make sure that your body produces it. So today we're going to look briefly at that, and we're also going to look at the cardio, the B cardio product, and why it is so powerful, and why you should be telling absolutely everybody about it, because it's not just for people who are in the workout space or the fitness space, and it's certainly not just for people like me who have these, you know, things in their genetics. It's actually for every single person, because what nitric oxide does is allows your body to be fed everywhere. It makes sure that oxygen and nutrition is being supplied to everywhere in your body, and it's going to minimize, you know, side effects and symptoms of a lot of things that you might be predisposed to having in your life. So having said that, I am going to actually move to a screen share. Here we go. And I'm going to do a bit of a slideshow just because it helps keep me focused. Otherwise, I'm so excited. You know, we might be here for an hour or two talking about stuff that makes me excited, but not you. So yeah, this is B cardio. And if you look at it, it looks like, well, maybe that's an aging guy, but he's really fit. It looks like something you might want to talk to people in the fitness space about, but it is so much more important than that. So why we have B cardio is because it's going to naturally boost your body's ability to produce what we're calling nitric oxide, this gas that your body is supposed to produce and release. It's going to, because of that, because it produces nitric oxide, the effect on the body is that it's going to give you a healthy blood pressure and better cardiovascular health because of the increased oxygen flow and nutrition to all areas of your body. You're going to get increased energy and increased endurance without the need for caffeine or stimulants. Your exercise program is going to be made much better. And it's going to, if you do use a product like this, I don't know, a lot of people sometimes they go, okay, it's my turn to get fit. I'm really running that marathon. Then they go out and they run 5 kilometers and they come back and they're just dead. They're so dead, they're dead for a week because their muscles are screaming at them. A product like B cardio is going to really help with muscle soreness and alleviating that, getting rid of lactic acid, and even protein synthesis, which is what a lot of people want in the fitness space. So I'm excited to share with you, though, that this is so much more than that, and to really take a look at why we should be paying attention to this. So yeah, B cardio. It's designed around the latest research about how nitric oxide functions. So when you look on the internet right now, if you were going to go Google cardio products, NO products, you would actually find a lot of products in the market. Like, it's saturated. What I'm excited about with this one is because it is using the most up-to-date science. The ingredients that are actually in our B cardio are very, very important to your body's ability to use that product and produce nitric oxide. And I have to say that our price point on this product is unbelievable. Again, we're going to run into that situation where the competitors just can't compete. They can't compare because of our price point. So before we get started on that, there's just some basic science that I'm going to look at, and I'm going to do a really dumbed down, like I hope I'm not insulting anybody, because this is super, super simple. Okay. So if you're not sciencey, you don't know about foods and nutrition, you didn't take biology, there's this phrase that we see a lot when we're dealing with natural dietary supplementation and the body, and it's called metabolic pathways. And we start talking about these metabolic pathways and people's eyes glaze over. So when we talk about metabolic pathways, which is really, really important to nitric oxide production, this is why we have to understand where in the previous products that were on the market, the nitric oxide products were not able to access every single pathway to produce nitric oxide. So pathways are just a series of steps. So this product enters your body and it starts going through a series of steps. And there are things within the body that can actually shut down those pathways. It could be age, it could be, your body's predisposed issue of not having enough L-arginine. It could be a lot of things that stop the steps that your body takes to produce nitric oxide. So what we find here is that we have a product that's going to make all of those pathways available to you. So why do you care? If you're saying to a person, you need this product, they're going to say, why? Why would I care about that? So what you're trying to do is understand why you should care so much about this product, and therefore why someone else should care so much about this product. Not getting into an argument, but just creating that solution that some people don't even know they need. Network marketing, part of our job is to actually solve problems, provide solutions. This keeps your customer coming back to you. So if you can understand this, then you're going to have people lining up just to buy this product, and you can create an incredible business on that. So why should you care? So the human body has a system of metabolic pathways that actually synthesize nitric oxide. Nitric oxide is just this gas that it lines all of the vessels in the arteries in your body. And it's supposed to be doing a pretty significant job. All right. It's actually a really big deal. These smart guys over here, there's 3 of them, actually won a Nobel Prize in 1998 for discovering the importance of this molecule. I believe it's actually a hormone, but this molecule really is like a foundation of longevity. It's a foundation of life. If you don't have this molecule, let's see what happens. It is one of the most important molecules for blood vessel health. Its most important function is vaso. I say vaso, they say vasodilation. What that means, okay, to dilate is to open up, but it's also going to relax. So as we age or have bad health habits and practices, or perhaps we're predisposed to heart disease and cardiovascular disease, what happens is our arteries and blood pathways tend to get brittle and restricted and stiff. And that's what sets us up potentially for those clots and those heart attacks and strokes, and just a reduction overall of blood flow. And that I want you to keep in mind, why should I care that every part of my body needs to have adequate blood flow so that it's oxygenated, whatever the word is, it gets oxygen and it gets all the nutrients that I can have delivered to it. So what this product, what nitric oxide does, and a lot of the stuff that's in this product, is they're actually going to relax those blood vessels and make them less stiff and allow for the flowing of that. Okay. It's also participates in the virtually every cellular and organ function. Okay. So now this is getting into, I put these in color so that you could say, oh, maybe I should pay attention to that. We're really talking about every single organ function that you have. So anybody who has an autoimmune disease knows that they somehow have to get nutrition and health to it. Even people who have like concussions and they have injuries, not just a disease, but injuries. When you get a concussion and you have an injury to your brain, there's this protective barrier that forms around the injury site. And one of the side effects of that is a lack of blood flow to the injury site. So all of a sudden now we don't have the oxygen and nutrition to help heal that part of the brain. So if we're talking about any injury and any potential part of your body that needs help, you want blood flow and oxygen and nutrition to get there. So nitric oxide participates in virtually every function there. It actually helps the body transmit nerve signals. So now we're starting to get into things like brain disorders and diseases. And what the science showed about nitric oxide is people who suffer from Alzheimer's typically do not produce enough of the amino acids in the body to produce nitric oxide on their own. they're actually genetically lacking enough of these ingredients to produce what they need to hold off, to postpone the onset of Alzheimer's and some of those brain disorders. It regulates immune function. So now we're talking, yes, daily health, but again, think autoimmune. It regulates the body's stress response. This is huge in your ability to stay healthy and not present with a heart attack, stroke, or the onset of your autoimmune disease, etc. It ultimately prolongs the life of an organism, and you are an organism. So when you have adequate levels of nitric oxide, you can really decrease your aging and just the onset of a variety of health problems and diseases. It allows blood, nutrients, and oxygen to travel to every part of your body effectively and efficiently. All right, so a limited capacity of your body's ability to produce it, as I said, can present in heart disease, diabetes, erectile dysfunction. It's quite simply, it ages you. And so when I'm talking about overall health, quite simply, it ages you. Sorry, when I'm talking about overall health, what I'm talking to is every person. I've probably just listed, when we're talking cardiovascular issues and autoimmune issues and nerve issues, I'm talking about every person in the world has something like that presented in their body or hiding in their body. So this discovery about what nitric oxide does, it's a big deal. And that's why Burke brought up the book that Louis J. Ignario wrote. I actually have it on my tablet, but it's a big deal. It won a prize. It's a big deal. It's a foundational aspect of longevity. We should be all paying attention to it. So our nitric oxide levels begin to drop after age 30. So now we're talking like collagen. And when you get into the beauty industry, people want to pay for that. They're paying hundreds of dollars to get collagen into their body. Collagen is a good thing, right? But I would suggest that nitric oxide is even more important, because what does it matter if you have that glowing skin and sparkly eyes if your brain and your heart don't function? And myself in our family history, you know, I look at my dad, who fought his heart condition like ever since I was a child. I knew that dad was taking care of his heart. I knew that if he were to suffer a heart attack, he would be going in for a quadruple bypass. This is my slim father, who was very active. However, sadly, later in life, in his 70s, he presented with a brain disease, which ultimately took his life. And part of me wonders if he had understood that he could have had, because he didn't like pharmaceuticals, but if he could have had pharmaceuticals that increase nitric oxide production, or taken natural dietary supplements like L-arginine and L-citrulline and NO products, would he have had a different outcome? Would there have been years added on, quality years added on at the end, which would have given him those precious moments that, you know, we no longer have? It's just something that I think about. The problem is that for a large part of nitric oxide system is non-functional in many people in the Western industrialized world. And that's because our diets lack the necessary nutritional precursors. So precursors means comes first. So we have to have the right nutrition, the right ingredients first in our body in order for us to produce nitric oxide. And sadly, the way that food is manufactured and distributed in our North American continent, it actually works against us. Processed foods, what we do is we damage a lot of food in order to preserve it, whether we're overheating oils and turning them into damaged omega-6s, which are terrible for nitric oxide synthesis. I was learning about healthy fats versus unhealthy fats. Like I said, by the time I was 18 years old, I was studying this stuff on my own. So knowing what our food chain does, processed foods, the high sugar content, all of that stuff is stacked against us. And so not only does it deplete our ability to produce nitric oxide, we are lacking the healthy gut bacteria. Now you introduce what we're dealing with today. What we know has hit the world in 2020 for the most part, and we're covering ourselves with hand sanitizers, even mouthwash. It kills off the healthy bacteria that we need to be flourishing in our gut to lead to the production of nitric oxide synthesis. We need all of this to function together. And also we know that if we have an increased presentation of high cholesterol and high blood pressure, we're suppressing it even again. We're suppressing our body's ability to make it. And I said that's just what happens to the average person after they hit age 30. Their production of NO goes down. Now you think about a person like me who's predisposed to this, and it's even worse for me because there's going to be something genetically in my body that just doesn't make enough L-arginine. And we're going to talk about why do I need L-arginine? Why do I need L-citrulline in order to produce this nitric oxide that I actually need in my body? So when looking into researching this, I would do what Burke said, and I would read that book, or I would go to medical publications, not just Googling, words on the Google site and on the internet, because what you're going to find is a pharmaceutical company that produces a drug, to help with this, and then turns around and says dietary supplements don't work. There's no good data. Because they're going to assume that a lot of this stuff came into being without going through the trials and testings and documentation. So they're just going to make blanket statements like that and make everybody afraid to look into this. But this is huge, guys. I've been looking at these products and using them for a long time. And I absolutely, maybe it's because I like to be active and I know, how my heart responds. I have a rapid racing heartbeat. I have an irregular heartbeat. I also have a heart murmur. So I know what my heart feels like when it's stressed. And if you aren't producing enough nitric oxide, you're going to feel pain in your body, especially in that area. If you're just out of shape and you try to go run and do something, you're going to feel pain in your shoulder, pain in your head, pain in your leg. That's just simply a lack of oxygen. That's life. Like, that's just being out of shape, deconditioned. But those people who have heart issues feel a little bit differently. And so we're very much aware of that and thinking of that all the time. And I can remember, making a supper, and all of a sudden my heart would take off and I'd be like chopping vegetables and going, okay, yeah, it's really, really fast right now. And then boom, it would stop and it would miss a beat. And then I'd be like, okay, I'm still here. That's good. And I'd keep chopping vegetables. People who have heart conditions, we pay attention to this stuff. And nitric oxide, it really is the key to the kingdom of healthy aging. This is important. This is a phrase you should write down. Every age-related human disease is characterized by low blood flow. And if you don't have nitric oxide or enough of it, you will absolutely have low blood flow. Okay, so you need nitric oxygen in your body. Your body needs to produce it in order to fix that problem. So any disease, cardiovascular, dementias, brain diseases, age-related diseases are characterized by low blood flow. So what do you have to do? You have to actually eat the right vegetables. You need a vegetable-rich diet. You need to fill your body with those antioxidants and phytonutrients. You also need to be very aware of healthy fats. When you see this, in my area, I used to be called the avocado lady, and people would send me pictures of clothes with avocados on them and laugh about it. Honestly, the right fats will heal you. The wrong fats will harm you. Learn what they are and turn off who's writing the article, because the canola industry is going to tell you that their canola is amazing. But what matters is, how was the canola produced? How is it treated? And was it overheated? That's what matters. And you also need to have clean protein, and you need to exercise. Cardiovascular exercise is not necessarily about losing weight. It's about keeping the circulatory system healthy. So when I say all those things to you and people go, okay, so that's what you're saying I have to do? Yeah, that's what we should all be doing. These are the fundamentals of health. You also need to drink a lot of water to make this work. Most people will say, okay, then I don't need supplements. I'm just going to go and do all this. But here's the thing. You probably won't. You probably do it for a few days, fall off. All of a sudden a month goes by, you didn't do it. None of us tend to live, unless you're Lance, and some people with that kind of personality tend to live that high energy movement, lifestyle. And even then, and this is where my story comes in, many of us, despite that kind of lifestyle, will not produce enough L-arginine to actually make nitric oxide. So despite living that way, we've seen incredibly fit athletes who've dropped dead of cardiovascular disease, because there's something in us that builds up the plaque that, closes off the pathways of blood flow. And L-arginine and nitric oxide, that's what that Nobel Prize is for. It's absolutely essential that you can produce this in your body, or ultimately down the road, it does lead to death, right? And getting that nitric oxide to actually produce it is a complicated pathway. And that's the other thing, that as we're aging, it's actually really hard to get the nitrates taken via food or dietary supplements. And I'm talking whole food supplements like our company makes. It's actually hard for that to end up as nitric oxide in your tissues. So living all of that is important. Living that lifestyle is important, but supplementation is key. And if you want to Google Dr. Ignario's videos, he's done a lot of YouTube interviews, especially a Nobel Prize winner would. So there's been a lot of exposure to that. He says right in there that dietary supplementation is key, right? Most nitric oxide products on the market today, however, are a little bit obsolete because they're designed on incomplete research data. So to give your body maximum nitric oxide potential, our B Cardio has system standard technology. And I don't even want to tell you what that is because I have no clue. I'm just going to trust the biochemist that made it. That delivers the necessary nutritional precursors. So the nutritional components have to come first. And those nutritional ingredients in our drink are going to drive every pathway. So think about all the steps in the body where your body can actually make, synthesize, and assimilate nitric oxide. It's going to be absorbed. It's going to be there. It's a gas, by the way. Nitric oxide survives for seconds before it disappears, right? So you need this produced in your body all day long. And that's why this supplement is so key, because it's going to give you every system, every pathway, so that nitric oxide synthesis happens. That's why our product is number one. Okay. So when we look at this, you're going to see over here, I'm not going to spend too much time because I don't think you need to master this content, but I'm just sharing some key things here. When you look at this list of things, now somebody did ask me, if you have low blood pressure, can you take this? Well, from what Dr. Ignario said about nitric oxide products, he said nitric oxide is very intuitive in your body. So if you suffer from low blood pressure, it does not mean that your blood pressure is going to drop off because you have an NO product or because you have more nitric oxide in your body. He said the nitric oxide knows when not to lower blood pressure. It's smart. The body's smart. It has that figured out. The complication comes in if you're on certain kinds of blood pressure meds. So certainly if you have any kind of cardiovascular issue where you are on meds that are going to get rid of the plaque buildup and monitor your heart rate and all that kind of stuff and your blood pressure, if you're on that stuff, talk to your pharmacist, doctor, healthcare provider, figure out if this product is for you. So looking at these, this ingredient here, L-citrulline, L-arginine, potassium, hawthornberry, beetroot, beta cyclodextrin, coenzyme Q10, and pepper, these ingredients, the way labels go, the first ingredient is L-citrulline. And so that's super exciting. L-citrulline is one of those things that makes me extremely, extremely happy. So I knew that they were showing up in cardiovascular types of drinks or cardio drinks made by other companies. And I was always looking for that ingredient. And so the reason I'm so excited about L-citrulline is because I don't know if you know this or not, but L-arginine is the one amino acid, the only one that can make nitric oxide. All right. So we have 20 foundational ones in our body. There's more than that, but there's 20 big ones that they're the building blocks of protein. And L-arginine has a very specific job, and its job is to make nitric oxide. You can't make nitric oxide from a different amino acid. You need L-arginine. So here's the thing. L-arginine breaks down in your body very easily. Also, L-arginine, you can be genetically predisposed not to make enough of it. And as you age, you also stop making enough of it. So while you might be making some of it, what Dr. Ignario's science said is that you're probably not making enough to produce enough nitric oxide. And because of the pathways that are available, a lot of times nitric oxide and L-arginine go to a different area in the body, except if you introduce, or different pathway, I should have said, except if you introduce L-citrulline. I think I have a spelling error there, by the way. Anyway, L-citrulline, what it does is it actually transforms into L-arginine. So for those of us who cannot make enough of it just because of age, because of environmental issues, or because we're genetically predisposed to it, we need L-citrulline in our body. So what are some things that it does? So it's that precursor to making L-arginine. All right, you have to have it to make L-arginine. It will actually increase your blood flow because it's a vasodilator. So it's going to open up those blood vessels, soften them a little bit. As a result, it's going to bring blood pressure down. It actually is going to detoxify your body from ammonia. And so sometimes we carry some of these toxins in our body that can actually damage our central nervous system. L-citrulline is going to help you with nerve function. It's also going to enhance your physical exercise experience because it's just going to get more nutrients and more oxygen to the far deep reaching areas of your tissues, of your muscles. And that's what you want. Maximum oxygen there so that you can keep going and not have those stitches and have better recovery and push harder. It's also going to help with things like erectile dysfunction. Again, it's a blood flow issue. It's actually is used in the treatment of sickle cell anemia. All right, so pretty cool. L-citrulline is actually a rock star. If a product for cardio doesn't have it in, I won't take it. And that's just something that I knew about as a young adult. So that amino acid L-citrulline transforms into L-arginine, and then that L-arginine is the amino acid that converts into nitric oxide. So this is ingredient number 1 in our product, but we also added some L-arginine into the mixture of our B Cardio. You can get this, yes, naturally from a lot of nuts and seeds and the right kinds of dairy and meat and whole grains for sure. What L-arginine does is it helps the kidneys remove waste. It's important for maintaining the immune system and for hormone function. Of course, again, those arteries are going to be relaxed and opened up. So it's a vasodilator as well. It's got some pretty key roles in giving you a healthy cardiovascular system. The next thing we have is the hawthorn berry. And this here actually neutralizes free radicals. So one of the things that Dr. Ignario talks about is a high antioxidant load. When you have L-arginine and L-citrulline, you also have to have high antioxidant loads to support the overall health and to make nitric oxide, all of that function better. And remember, we also talked about free radicals in the body that slow down your cells and your cellular health. So when you introduce the free radicals, you provide the missing electron that, when you increase the antioxidants, you provide the missing electron that the free radicals need. So those free radicals are floating around your body. Your body cannot expel them naturally. You get that toxicity in your body. It stays there forever. We knew that science again in the 90s. Back in university, we were talking about it, learning about it. And so you needed to introduce something else to get rid of free radicals. And that something else is high antioxidants. And that is provided by the hawthorn berry. So then it's going to get rid of, it's going to neutralize them. You drink a lot of water, you eat clean, you do a detox like with the Restore or the blue tea, and you're going to expel those free radicals from your body and your whole circulatory system is going to function a lot better. Let's see here. What else does it do? It does, that's all right. It does lots of good stuff. So beetroot, what I like about this one is it's a really great liver support. And remember, that's a very key boss organ in your body. So the beetroot's going to help with your blood vessels. It's going to make them healthy, but it's also going to, just like I said, protect the liver. That's its main job. And beta cyclodextrin, it improves solubility. Now, why I think this one is so important, because a lot of us who have a low L-arginine level or have really bad health habits, we have plaque formation in our veins. And if you keep building that and building that, you're going to get to a state of irreparable damage, right? So if you can intervene now by cleaning up your diet and introducing this product, B Cardio, what this beta cyclodextrin does, it actually blocks the formation of plaque, and it actually can melt away existing plaque formation. That is huge for your health. You really, really want this B Cardio product in your life. Coenzyme Q10, I knew about this. You can Google this one and there is a long list, everything from like, cancer preventative to blood sugar regulation, but it's actually this enzyme that's super important to improving heart health. And it also, by the way, now I'm not making medical claims here, but I've known this because of other cardio drinks that I've taken. It can actually be when used with L-citrulline. I find that people who suffer migraines from weather patterns can sometimes get relief from a product like this. So if you're somebody, you're working through that and you know that your migraines are triggered by weather changes, try a product like this and you might be pleasantly surprised at what it can do for you. But anyway, coenzyme Q10, you'll find it in a lot of beauty products. It's everywhere because ultimately it reduces the oxidative damage. So it's going to make every cell younger and function better. Super important to heart health. This is just a pepper. Again, it's going to reduce inflammation. It's going to reduce insulin resistance. It's going to improve your cholesterol levels. You're just going to have better brain and gut health function. All of these ingredients are those nutritional precursors that you need to put into your body so that your body can make nitric oxide. And so we've covered off the whole list. We have that here. Again, don't get caught up in explaining the science. I blanked it out on the left. Those are complicated pathways that your body takes to make nitric oxide. If I can give you anything from this presentation, it basically is that you need to take these ingredients that are in B Cardio, especially the L-citrulline, which is going to transform into the L-arginine and convert into nitric oxide into your body. And that part is easy. You guys can remember this little screen and you can talk about that. But just know that you have a rock star product on your hands. And I can't wait to get this. It's going to be part of my day. That's all I have, folks.
All right. Well, thank you, Rebecca. So quote of the day, everybody write this down. L-citrulline makes me happy. That's all you need to know. Okay. Guys, understand what you've got a hold of here with this product. You know, I've been bugging Dan since I joined Bepic that we need a L-arginine product, because I know Dan has been very, very familiar with L-arginine and with the nitric oxide with the L-citrulline products. Like I say, he was one of the #1 sellers in the world, not even doing an MLM, but basically doing direct sales with the L-arginine and with the nitric oxide product.